My name is Adrian Cole, and for most of my life, I believed I was completely ordinary. I lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Portland. I had a wife, a 6-year-old daughter, a stable office job. The kind of life most people stop appreciating because it feels permanent, safe, predictable, normal. But 3 years ago, something started visiting me at night. At first, I thought they were nightmares. I would wake up unable to move, unable to speak, just lying there in darkness while the bedroom felt occupied. Then I started seeing the light, not outside the window, inside the room. A pale white glow bleeding across the ceiling, moving silently, like water reflecting from beneath the ocean. Every time it happened, my wife remained asleep beside me, perfectly still, too still. Then one night, I saw them clearly for the first time. Figures standing beside the bed, tall, thin, their outlines blurry like my eyes couldn't focus on them properly. I remember trying to scream, trying to move. Nothing worked. One of the figures leaned closer. Its face looked unfinished, like reality itself couldn't fully render it. Then I heard a voice, not through my ears, inside my head. Do not resist. Suddenly, my body lifted from the mattress. Slowly, weightlessly, I floated toward the ceiling while my daughter's bedroom door creaked open down the hallway. And standing inside the doorway was my daughter Lily, watching silently. Except something was wrong. She wasn't scared. She wasn't confused. She just stood there smiling slightly, like she already knew they were coming for me. Then everything went black. The next thing I remember was the table, cold metal beneath my back, bright white light above me, and shapes moving around the room. I couldn't turn my head fully, but I saw enough. Tall silhouettes, long fingers, movements too smooth to be human. One of them stood directly beside me, holding something thin and metallic, like a surgical instrument. Then I felt pain in my chest, sharp, precise, not cutting skin, something deeper. Like they were touching thoughts instead of organs. I remember hearing voices around me, several at once, layered together. Subject remains stable. Memory resistance detected. Begin environmental reset. That phrase still terrifies me more than anything else. Environmental reset. Then one of the figures leaned over me completely, and for one brief second its face became clear. Large black eyes, skin almost translucent, no mouth, no nose, just smooth pale flesh reflecting the light. Then suddenly, I saw something impossible behind them. Rows of people, hundreds of them, lying unconscious on identical metal tables, stretching endlessly into darkness. Men, women, children, all asleep, all connected to massive black structures hanging from the ceiling. And above all of us, something enormous was moving in the shadows. I never saw its full shape, only Then pain exploded through my skull. The voices around me became louder. Aggressive, panicked. He remembers. And suddenly I woke up in my bed. Morning sunlight, birds outside, my wife beside me smiling softly. Like nothing had happened, but when I touched my chest, there was a perfectly straight scar directly over my heart. And downstairs, my daughter was sitting motionless at the kitchen table, staring at me, smiling the exact same smile from the hallway. For the first few days, I convinced myself it had only been a nightmare. Sleep paralysis, stress, a hallucination, anything except the truth. But the feeling never left. That constant sensation that something around me wasn't real anymore. At first it was small things, tiny details, easy to ignore. My wife suddenly started cooking meals I hated, even though she knew for years I couldn't stand them. My daughter stopped asking questions, stopped acting like a child entirely. And every morning at exactly 7:15, the same red car drove past our house. Always the same speed, always the same timing. Then people started repeating themselves. One afternoon at work, my coworker Daniel asked me how my weekend was. I answered. Then exactly 40 seconds later, he walked back over and asked the exact same question. Same smile, same tone, same hand movement, like reality had copied and pasted him. I laughed nervously and asked if he was joking. He just stared at me blankly for several seconds, then slowly walked away without speaking. That night, I started noticing the pauses, moments where people froze for half a second, not emotionally, physically. A cashier standing completely motionless mid-sentence, a dog frozen in place on the sidewalk, even birds hanging unnaturally, still in the sky before suddenly moving again, like the world itself was buffering. Then came the mirrors. I woke up around 3 a.m. to get water from the kitchen. As I passed the hallway mirror, I noticed something wrong immediately. My reflection wasn't moving at the same speed as me. I stopped walking. My reflection stopped a second later. I felt cold all over instantly. Then slowly, the reflection smiled. I wasn't smiling. I stumbled backward into the kitchen. When I looked at the mirror again, everything was normal. That's when I started recording things, keeping notes, trying to prove to myself I wasn't losing my mind. But the deeper I looked, the worse everything became. One night I drove 20 miles outside town trying to clear my head, and something impossible happened. The road looped. I drove straight for nearly an hour. No turns, no exits, but eventually, I passed the same gas station again. Same broken sign, same parked truck, same old man sitting outside smoking. At first I thought I was exhausted, until the old man looked directly at me as I passed, and mouthed something slowly through the windshield. "You're not supposed to leave." I slammed the brakes immediately. But when I looked back, the gas station was gone. Only empty road behind me. No buildings, no lights, nothing. After that, I stopped sleeping normally. Every night I dreamed of the white room again, the tables, the figures, the giant shape moving above us in darkness. And every night, the voices repeated the same phrase. Subject is becoming aware. Then my wife started changing. It began subtly, small pauses during conversations, moments where her expression vanished completely, like someone forgetting which emotion they were supposed to display. One evening she stood washing dishes for nearly 2 hours straight without moving from the sink. No music, no TV, no blinking, just washing the same plate repeatedly. I asked if she was okay. She turned toward me slowly, and for one horrifying second, her face looked unfinished. Not blurry, missing, like parts of her skin failed to load correctly. Then it snapped back to normal instantly, and she smiled. "Everything is fine, Adrian." That same night, I heard voices downstairs around 2 a.m. I thought maybe the television was on, but when I walked into the living room, the TV screen was black. My wife and daughter were sitting together on the couch, staring at it silently. Neither of them moved when I entered the room. Then slowly, both of them turned toward me at the exact same time. Perfect synchronization. And my daughter spoke first. "You're making this difficult." I couldn't breathe, because it wasn't her voice. It was deeper, layered, like several people speaking through her mouth at once. Then my wife spoke, too, without blinking. Without expression, the environment is failing. The lights inside the house flickered violently, and suddenly I saw it. For one split second, the walls around us disappeared. Behind the house, behind the furniture, behind reality itself, was darkness. Endless black machinery stretching in every direction. Massive structures pulsing slowly like living organs. And thousands of suspended human bodies connected by cables hanging motionless in the void. Then reality snapped back instantly. The house looked normal again. My wife and daughter were gone from the couch. Only the television remained on, and on the screen, there was a single line of white text. "Do not wake the others." I didn't sleep after that. I sat alone in the kitchen until sunrise, staring at the television screen, waiting for the message to disappear. But it never did. "Do not wake the others." Around 6 a.m., my wife walked downstairs carrying coffee like nothing had happened. She smiled normally, asked if I slept okay, acted completely human. And somehow, that terrified me more, because now I understood something horrifying. Whatever controlled this place could switch them on and off, like characters inside a simulation. I stopped going to work after that, stopped answering calls, stopped pretending everything was normal. Instead, I started searching the house, every room, every wall, every inch, and eventually I found the door. It was behind the basement furnace, a narrow metal hatch hidden beneath old insulation panels, something I swear had never existed before. The moment I touched it, the lights in the house flickered. Then my daughter screamed upstairs, not a scared scream, an angry one. I heard footsteps running across the ceiling, fast, violent, and then silence. I opened the hatch. Cold air rushed upward immediately, air that smelled sterile, artificial, far deeper than physically possible. I grabbed a flashlight and went down. The deeper I descended, the more wrong reality felt. The walls below weren't concrete. They were smooth black material pulsing faintly beneath the light, almost organic. Then I reached the bottom and saw the corridor, massive, endless, stretching farther than the dimensions of my house should allow. Rows of identical doors lined both sides, thousands of them, each marked with numbers. And behind some of the doors, I heard people crying. Others were laughing, some were screaming. Then I noticed the windows. Small observation windows built into certain doors. I looked through one and nearly collapsed. Inside the room was another version of my house. Another Adrian sitting at the kitchen table staring blankly into space. Another wife, another daughter. Like thousands of copied realities running simultaneously, I stumbled backward in horror. Then every light in the corridor turned red, and the voice returned. Subject has breached the environment. Every door around me unlocked simultaneously. Then, slowly, people started stepping into the hallway, hundreds of them. Men, women, children, all wearing blank expressions. And every single one of them looked confused, like they had just woken from a dream. One man grabbed my arm desperately. "Is this real?" Then something moved above us. I looked upward and finally saw the full shape. The thing from the operating room. It was enormous, suspended across the ceiling like a living machine. Black limbs connected into endless cables disappearing into the walls. Thousands of pale white eyes opening slowly across its body. And hanging beneath it were the creatures. The tall, pale figures, dozens of them descending silently from the ceiling, watching us. Then one of them spoke directly into my mind. "You were never removed." Suddenly, memories flooded back into my head. Not dreams, real memories. I remembered the abduction, the table, the experiments, but worst of all, I remembered Earth, or what was left of it. The sky burning red, cities dark, massive structures descending through clouds, humans running, screaming, then silence. We didn't survive. Humanity lost. This place wasn't a prison. It was preservation. Artificial lives created to keep human consciousness stable inside simulations. Families, jobs, neighborhoods. Fake worlds built to stop us from realizing we were already gone. And now I had awakened. The pale entity stepped closer, its black eyes reflecting thousands of human faces moving inside them. Your species could not accept extinction, so we built you peace. Around me, people started screaming as their environments collapsed. Some fell to their knees crying. Others stared blankly ahead, unable to process reality. Then I heard my daughter's voice behind me. "Dad." I turned slowly. Lily was standing in the corridor, alone, looking terrified for the first time. And suddenly, I didn't know anymore. Was she fake, or had she awakened too? She grabbed my hand tightly, crying, "Please don't let them take me away again." Again. Then the corridor around us began collapsing. Reality itself tearing apart into black emptiness. Doors vanishing, lights exploding, human screams echoing endlessly through the void. The pale entities began retreating upward into darkness, like the experiment was ending. Then the enormous creature spoke one final time, not with words, with thought. "The dream is over." Everything disappeared, and suddenly I woke up again. Back in my bedroom, morning sunlight through the window. Birds outside, my wife asleep beside me, my daughter laughing downstairs. Everything normal, perfectly normal. Until I looked at my chest. The scar was still there and outside my bedroom window. Standing motionless across the street was one of the pale figures, watching me